This is probably going to be the worst video I've ever made in my entire life. I know to a lot of people that I've been gone for a good long while. Like, I went from doing streams consistently to just completely off the radar to some. And so what this video is going to be is it's going to be addressing what's been going on behind closed doors, what's been going on behind the curtain. It's going to take a lot of courage out of me to talk about this topic, so I'm going to do my best here not to just completely sound too far-fetched. So I'd say about 4 years ago, when I was about 14, I discovered on how to make YouTube gaming videos with a capture card. And by that time I was entering high school, where they seemed like they would have a great outcome for me, but I was ever so wrong. I decided to take a plunge into making videos as a means of an escape. And when I did that, I started to feel just a little better about myself, because things weren't really progressing for me in my social circle at all. Making friends in school was probably one of the most daunting tasks that I'd ever decided to take up. A lot has happened over the past 4 years that just totally affects my life today in a way that I didn't think it would. How my social schedule would go from completely dead to totally packed to this year. So what's been going on is, let's just fast forward to my high school graduation. Actually, no. We're going to take a small trip back to when I was about 15, I believe in 10th grade, where I decided to take a stab at making some friends, asking a certain individual if I could have their contact info for future hangouts. And so what would happen is I would get reported for some form of harassment. Now, the parent I'm living with, my mom at the time, did not know that they handled it this way, and then when I got approached by the head of the school, the first thing they tell me is, watch what I say. So me being ever so confused, I spent the entire day wondering what happened and what went wrong, on why they would ever start to think that I would ever want to do something like that to somebody, because that is just not in my nature. I can understand if somebody doesn't want me to contact them for doesn't even really have to be a valid reason at all, in all honesty. I would have just taken a simple no at the time. And from that day forward, things just were not the same for me in my head at all. I was pretty nerdy in school. I did my absolute best to strive to pass all of my subjects, and for a good chunk of my duration of time in high school, I did. And then over the course of time, it came very clear to me that I didn't know anybody all that well enough to hang out with them, and they would not want to know me outside of school. And as time coursed throughout that duration of my life, I began to feel super isolated, to the point where it was insane. I could be in a classroom full of kids, but it felt like I was the only one there, which drove me nuts, upset me a lot. And so, like, here's the crazy thing that I want everybody to know. Social isolation is probably one of the worst things I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. It's just one thing that someone can go through that can leave lifelong lasting effects on them, where it affects their ability to socialize with others when they get in a different setting that is more tranquil and more relaxed. It could affect their confidence to where almost as if like approaching people could be probably one of the hardest things that they could ever do in their life. And I have to shamefully say that that person is me. And no, I'm not. I'm not right. I'm not making this video as a boo-hoo, feel sorry for me type of story. But I am actively seeking help for something like this. And I made an entirely new circle of friends, mainly comprised of old ones, old new ones, and new ones, where I feel like that I've everything was just so different to me, but I did not know that social isolation would turn into social anxiety, at least for my case. I did have a few loose friends on the outside of high school while I was there. But once in a blue moon would I ever be invited to something like a party or is any type of social gathering, to the point where I just felt so awkward and out of place sitting there and try to process everything, or even to the point where I felt mad anxiety just overflowing through my system, to the point where I feel like I'd have to step out to a nearby bathroom in a restaurant just so I could compose myself in a way that would just not seem uncomfortable for those around me. So I went from a completely dead, well, not from an almost completely dead social life to one that's almost booked like almost every day now, to the point where it's insane to me. But it really hasn't been an easy road, and doing my best to conquer this probably hasn't been an easy puzzle to solve. Because I almost feel like that the after effects of what I went through are just they just keep messing with me every now and then. And every time it's like when I go to a party of some sort, it just feels, I just feel all of my senses going into overload. So I've been taking a good amount of time. I wouldn't say to overcome this, but, and I'm sorry if I did earlier, there are just some things that I cannot change. There are a lot of things that I cannot change in this set of cards that I've been dealt. But there are some things that I'm learning to come to grips with, and I'm learning to accept in a way. And I've been hanging out with some real positive people who've been helping me do that throughout the course of my new chapter in life. I would say that a good chunk of my teenagehood was stolen from me from a lot of this. There are some reasons I do not want to go into, mainly because the fact that I don't want to get flagged for any hate speech, because this is really centered around some religious views, and some kids who were in a certain religious following that did not want them associating with me whatsoever because I did not have the same beliefs as they were. I'm pretty sure if you know what this is, you're able to figure out and do the math. But when I just do my best to reflect on what's been going on, it feels so crazy it just feels so crazy on where it has taken me, and I am quite comfortable in the position that I am right now with the people I have met, and there's just some barriers that I'm just doing the best I can, just taking some time off in order to figure myself out and what things I want. There are a lot of things that I will remember, but there's a lot that I have to work on in order to fully move on from that, because as I implied earlier, the long-lasting effects can really take a toll on someone. So they've been, the friends that I have been hanging out with, it's almost like I consider them like family. They know who they are if one of them is happening to watch this. But, they've been helping with me a lot. Just, like whenever I go over to somebody's house for their birthday or whenever I get invited to dinner with one of them, getting to know their parents, their family, their siblings. It's a lot of the positivity that I felt like I missed out on for the longest time. And so by hearing my story, so at least taking the time to hear me out is much appreciated. And what the objective of this video is that all hope isn't lost. Like I found myself in a place at a specific point in time, or even during in high school in my birthday, where I just felt like I just wanted to completely pull the plug on everything. And by pull the plug, I mean I wanted to close the book on my life. I felt like no one was there at that point. And after a good long time, it took me just shortly after my 18th birthday to realize that there is hope at the end of there's light at the end of the tunnel. And so things like this happen for one specific reason or another, and it can take some people longer to figure it out. When I've been doing things like overcoming certain things where it can be just a little more difficult for me than the average late teenager to execute his sentences properly. And so I've been working on that as well, especially when making conversation with people I meet for the first time, which is, I want to use the word harrowing. I believe it is harrowing, but at the same time, it's a rewarding experience, and it's rewarding for me to learn something like this. And so I felt like coming clean would just get this off my conscience at some point in time. I don't necessarily think that I have cleared my conscience, but I'm in the process of clearing my conscience. So I just want to say a great big thank you to you guys. If you're still if you're still patient with me, I just want to say thank you. And for a lot of the people who have supported me throughout my duration, and just this part of me that I'm working through, I want to say thank you to them for supporting me and just having my back on a lot of things. So, that's just a short explanation of why I've been gone, and I hope I did not take up too much of your time. But just thank you. If you want to still be subscribed, just thank you. But there's a lot I have to accomplish. There's a lot I have to accomplish before I can get back to streaming soon. Streaming on YouTube was fun. Meeting a lot of you guys on stream, old and new friends and old, was fun. But there are just a few things that I have to accomplish on the outside of the grid first. And so, again, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I'll probably go into a more detailed explanation of this on a future live stream. Not gonna necessarily be revolved around gaming, but mainly just interacting with you guys, and it'll be a lot longer than the duration of this video. But just thank you, and if you are curious to get a more detailed explanation of what is going on, just stay tuned for the future stream for that, and I'll see you guys soon.